ratings, and we're going to start off with Vicario. 7s all round for Big Vic. Venom, I thought he did everything that came his way to a good standard. I thought his kicking was a bit off yesterday. There was about, I thought there was about 3 or 4 times where he just kicked it out of play for no reason, pretty much. But apart from that, I thought everything he did to it was a really good standard. Look, there was moments where his kicking was on point, but there was about 3 or 4 moments where he just played it out of play needlessly.
I was going to praise his kicking. I thought his kicking was good. Yeah, there were a couple of occasions played out of play, but I think by and large it was actually pretty good. And when he got it right, he actually allowed us to progress up the pitch.
I agree with that.
And there was actually one really good throw. I remember he threw it all the way to the halfway line for Udogie, which put us on an attack. In terms of saves, I mean, I seem to be saying it every week. I mean, he didn't make too many. He didn't have to.
And it's mad to say that, isn't it, with the defensive problems that we're going through at the moment. It's just mad.
Like, I can't think of too many saves he had to make yesterday. The chances Newcastle missed were all used mostly off target. So in terms of actual goalkeeping, fairly quiet day on that front. Obviously the save he made where he did a bit of shithousery was a fairly simple save, that one. So pretty comfortable day on that front for Vicario.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next player we're going to talk about is Pedro Porro. 9s all round for Pedro. Another unbelievable display from Pedro Porro yesterday. Seems to be getting better and better. Yet another assist to his numbers with a lovely ball over the top for Richarlison. And the way he celebrated is it running over to Big Ange, giving him a big hug as well. I thought that was brilliant. But no, it wasn't just that assist. It was everything. The way he was inverting into the middle to create another option. He's always looking to provide an assist and create, and defensively as well. I thought he was absolutely on point. I don't think anything got past him apart from that moment you spoke about before when Anthony Gordon got on behind in the first 5 minutes of the game. But apart from that, he was stellar.
It's an astonishing performance, and he's one of the better right backs on form in the league on this form. I mean, the amount of chances he created, the chance for the assist for Richarlison was an absolute delight. I mean, that was Trent-esque, I have to say, that pass, unbelievable. Brilliant outswinging corner for Romero's header, which was off the line. A brilliant through ball for Son's penalty as well. Really pinpoint, allowing Son to take it in stride. His passing and his build-up is absolutely spot on, but it's not just spot on, it actually allows us to open up the space and create chances and really take it to the opposition. When he's on the ball, you just feel like, and also he played that switcher play for the second goal as well. I know Trippier gets a head on it, but it's a really a decent switcher play as well. I mean, you always feel like something's going to happen when he gets the ball. That's how creative his passing is, and that's how much quality he has. And he's gone from this player who last season maybe you felt like he's just a player who gets out wide and who's got a good cross on him. And now he's really showing his quality in the centre of the pitch and almost like a midfielder, how he shows his quality. And I think he's doing an astonishing job. Defensively, he's really sharpened up as well. I think he's playing magnificently in the moment.
Yeah, he really is. And the passion he shows as well is so good to watch. I mean, every time he does one of those challenges or that assist, the way he celebrates it, you can see how much it means to him. And I'm just loving watching him play week in, week out. For me, look, I think like when we talk about this, like Son has been so good, so it's hard to not put Son as like the best player in the team so far. So I think everything has got a caveat. It's like under Son, but I think Pedro Porro has been our best player this season.
Has he scored yet this season? I think he's due a 25-yard bullet into the You watch.
He has so many shots as well.
He could have scored one yesterday. I reckon the next few weeks he's going to put one in the top.
I agree. But let's move on to Kuti Romero. 8s all round for Kuti. I mean, he was so dominant yesterday, winning all his duels is on the floor and aerially. The way he steps into the midfield and just constantly wins the ball back for us. Nearly scored as well in the first half where Pedro Porro put in that corner and it was just saved off the line. So he could have got his second goal in the space of a week. The only thing that kind of marred his performance was that challenge where he got the booking. It was just needless, didn't need to make it. The game was won, and on another day that could have been a sending off and it would have been a 4-game ban, and we all would have been sitting here saying, "Oh, you an idiot, Romero, why have you done that?" Like, it's just something that we don't need at this moment in time.
Yeah, that definitely would have been a block, but he just brings so much calmness to the back line. I feel like when he's there, he's just so dominant, and when he's on the ball, He has this just amazing ability to have composure in our build-up play, always pick the right pass. I love his forays forward when he's not scared to go into the opposition half and build like a midfielder and just run at the opposition and you know, always picks a really good pass as well. I think Isaac was so quiet. It must have been one of his quietest performances of the season. Isaac, he just couldn't get involved with the game because Romero just had them. And I think past 2 games, I think he's been brilliant. Romero, I think he's really kept the opposition attacks really quiet, and he was just unlucky last game. We made some errors that wasn't really his fault, but this game I thought he was near faultless apart from that late challenge, which was a bit reckless. But apart from that, I thought it was another fantastic display and shows why for me he's one of the top centre-backs in the league.
Yeah, and a player that was faultless yesterday in my opinion was Ben Davies. 8s all round for Benny. Another unbelievable display, stepping in for Mickey van der Ven admirably well. Saved almost a certain goal, wasn't it, with that sliding tackle. I thought it was an unbelievable sliding tackle from Ben Davies. He's aggressive. He's also very underrated in being progressive on the ball as well. I thought the way he gets forward and helps us start attacks is absolutely unbelievable, and a player who, you know, not many fans would have cared if we put him by the wayside in the summer and sold him. I think he's stepping in and he's doing an unbelievable job for the team, and I think we have said it a number of times on this channel. As much as he's not good enough maybe to be a Mickey van der Ven, and we don't want him starting week in, week out for us, I think he's just a great option for us to have in the squad. Never complains, always puts in a steady performance, and people like to lump him in there with the Eric Dyers of this world and stuff like that, but I think that's incredibly unfair to him.
Yeah, I thought he had another top display, and I think he has performed admirably well since stepping in for Van der Ven, and I can't really ask too much more of him. I think for his performance level, I think he's performing as good as he can and as he ever has really since he's come into a Spurs shirt. And I agree with you. I think his passing's very underrated. He's quite good at playing out from the back. I think defensively he's very aggressive and hasn't made many mistakes. I do think there are times where I wasn't yesterday, but there are times in general where, you know, he can get beaten and he's not the quickest, he's not the strongest, he's not the tallest, and those things can be exploited. But I thought yesterday he was faultless. I think, again, Isaac barely had a kick. I thought he made that crucial interception to stop Newcastle scoring, and that made a big difference in terms of the final result. And I thought, again, he's developing a good partnership with Romero in terms of just both players talking to each other. They seem a lot more comfortable when there's a senior centre-back with him as well. I just thought he put a really, really good display. I'm very happy for him.
Yeah, let's move on to Destiny Udogie. 9s all round for Destiny. Another unbelievable display from him. And if you cast your mind back to the game against Aston Villa, where he goes bearing down on goal in the first few minutes of the game and he rifles it over the bar and we go on to lose the game, this was the complete polar opposite. He gets that goal in the first 25 minutes to set us on our way. Great way to start the play as well. He wins the ball in the middle of the park, plays it to Heung-min Son, darts into the box, and it's an easy finish for Destiny. But that's not the only good things he did throughout the game. I thought he was so aggressive, winning all his duels, being such a presence for us in the middle of the park as well, darting forward and making those just like straight line runs to cause so many problems down the Newcastle midfield and Newcastle backline. He just gives Newcastle a different thing to think about every single time, and you're looking at the team and Newcastle must be fearing their life. They've just got the whole Spurs team just like running towards them. They just don't know what to do with themselves, and that is Ange in a nutshell, isn't it?
100%. Like being unpredictable, have different avenues of attack, not knowing where you're going, and I think Udogie just encapsulates that perfectly with that goal he scored, and a brilliant run, and obviously he started it as well. And as I say, his ball retention is Moussa Dembele-esque sometimes, with his strength and how he holds people off and how he's able to carry the ball forward. And him and Porro just do things do ball progression in a different way. Porro uses passing ability, Udogie uses strength and power to carry the ball up the pitch, and he makes them so hard to deal with. And when he's getting in between the lines and picking the ball up, he's been like another midfielder. He's absolutely brilliant to see, and I thought he was definitely back to his best yesterday. Defensively, absolutely had Almiron in his pocket. Almiron had absolutely nothing yesterday whenever he was going forward and going up the pitch. Obviously he got his goal and was a big part of our attack, and another top display from Udogie, and well worth the new contract.
Yeah, absolutely. So congratulations on Destiny on that new contract. Let's go on to Yves Bissouma. 8s all round for Bis, and he is back to his best. Look, I think he has had better performances than he had yesterday, but still, from the performances that he has put in since that red card, this is the best of the lot by a long way. So it was great to see Bissouma a lot better than he has been in recent weeks. I mean, he had that energy level about him. He had that air of unpredictability about him as well. But I think where he earned his money yesterday were his defensive capabilities, the way he just kept winning the ball back time and time again. 10 of his 14 duels he won yesterday. That is an unbelievable number from Bissouma, and he showed how much of a good defensive midfielder he can be in the Premier League yesterday. I thought he dominated that midfield, helped by Sarr, I got to say, but I think Bissouma was incredible yesterday.
Yeah, that was a lot more like it from Bissouma, looking so confident, so dominant. There was a period where I realised, okay, he's back to his best in that second half, where he's being confronted by 2 Newcastle midfielders and he just jinks past both of them and opens up the space. I'm like, okay, Bissouma's back. It was absolutely brilliant. He made 8 tackles on the day, which was by far, I think, was more than double anyone else on the pitch as well. So defensively, so dominant. But going forward as well, just looked like his old self, was trying things, was being confident on the ball, was opening up the space like he has been in previous weeks. And I'm just delighted to see that old Bissouma back, because he definitely didn't look like his old self for the past few weeks. But I thought yesterday, definitely back to his best. So fantastic to see.
Let's move on to Pape Sarr. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 9. And I was so impressed with Pape yesterday. And it's been a bit understated, Pape, because we all knew how well he was playing. But I don't think anyone, kind of, including myself, realised how much we actually missed him being out these past 4 or 5 games. And I feel like he just adds that so much balance to that midfield. He just never stops running, ever never stops running, never runs out of energy. The duels he was winning as well, the link up between the midfield and the attack. I mean, how many times did he just turn over the ball to set us on our way yesterday? I just thought it was an unbelievable performance from Pape, and he kind of enabled so many players on that pitch yesterday, not just Bissouma, but I thought Kulusevski as well.
Yeah, 100%. And he was literally covering the whole pitch. He was defending with Bissouma brilliantly. I think he made 2 tackles on the day, but also 2 key passes, showing his offensive ability as well. Probably should have scored a chance out by Brennan Johnson in the centre. Would be disappointed with that. Could have left it as well. Yeah, 2 players at the back post there. But 100% I agree with you. I think just the energy he brings, it allows us just more control of the game. And I feel like in previous weeks, in some elements, we've done well creating chances, but we've let too many chances. In some elements, we've done okay controlling the game, but then we haven't done well, creating the chances. And I think this was the perfect balance, and I think Sarr was definitely a massive part of that. And I thought we had a brilliant display, and it was really good to have him back. And I thought he was looking sharp when he came off the bench against West Ham on Thursday, and it was really great to see him back in the starting 11. And I thought it was really good to have him back.
I think it's actually scary how good this guy can be and how young he is and what mature performances and dominating performances he's putting in the Premier League at this age. Can you imagine if he carries on this trajectory for the next 2-3 years? I mean, we could have like one of the best midfielders in the Premier League at that point, because he's already up there.
Why not?
It's unbelievable. But let's move on to Decky. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 9. I thought he was unplayable for the most part yesterday. I thought he took a while to get into the game yesterday, Kulusevski, but once he got into the game, like I said, I thought Pape Sarr, Bissouma, Udogie and Porro just kind of let him flourish and let him do his thing. The amount of chances he was creating, they just could not deal with him. They could not get the ball off him. He's missing maybe a goal or assist in his game yesterday, but look, the amount of chances he was laying on to his teammates yesterday, I mean, he should have had a few.
I think in the words of Ange, I'll probably say I've been a bit harsh on the lad, because I should have given him a 9. I think that was worthy of the performance, because I thought he was exceptional. I think he was the one who created the most chances in the game, 5 key passes, exceptional performance. I thought when he was out wide or in the centre, he was brilliant. He set up just so many chances. Set up the chance for Johnson, who hit the post. Set up the chance for Skip, who should have scored as well. He missed one. In that first half, I thought Bruno Guimaraes and Miley and Joel Linton just couldn't get near him. Whenever he decided to go on a run, he was unstoppable. And he just has that strength and that ball carrying ability, which makes him so hard to deal with. And yet, sorry, when he gets in those positions in the space just outside the box, he has that quality to do something, have a shot, pick out a pass, and I thought he was just exceptional.
I think you're getting the Ange cough. You caught the Ange cough.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Yeah, we're all just going to be copying Ange now, just coughing everywhere we go. But let's move on to Brennan Johnson on the right-hand side in his best position, best performance in a Spurs shirt yesterday. 8s all round for Brennan. And I thought in the opening stages of the game, he was a bit frustrating because he was seeing a lot of the ball and he was putting in probably a few lackluster crosses. There was one really good one for Pape Matar where Pape should have done better. But I felt like after Sonny kind of did what he did on that left-hand side, it kind of gave, in a weird way, gave Brennan a bit more confidence. And then he grew into the game and he was starting to attack his fullback really well, Livramento, and he was beating him consistently, getting good balls into the box. And he became a bit unplayable in that second half where they didn't really know how to deal with him.
Yeah, I think Livramento would be sick at the sight of him because every time Johnson took him on, he just had no answer. He had too much pace, too much power for him. And I thought his final ball was definitely improving. You know, he set up that chance for Sarr. He had a few decent crosses to the back post as well. Obviously, he had that chance that hit the post he could have done more with. But it was more just that sense of every time he got the ball, again, you had a sense of something was going to happen. You had the sense that he was going to beat someone, and there was that also a lovely moment where he flicks it over Livramento's head and just goes on a run, and he's becoming really, really good at that, like finding little opportunities and creating something out of nothing, which is really vital in those positions. And I feel like when it comes to Ange, you know, how he wants his wingers to play, when Johnson's on the right, I think that's really what he likes to see in terms of being able to be relentless, taking your man on, opening up the space and creating those chances. And I thought he was just a thorn in Newcastle's side yesterday. They really struggled to deal with him, and a really top performance, and he just looks so much more comfortable on the right. So I think we should really be keeping him there.
Yeah, totally agree. And I feel like I've been saying this over the past few weeks where I feel like Brennan is growing into this role at Tottenham and he's growing week on week. And I think that was so evident yesterday in that game because not only was it his best performance, but he just looks so dangerous. He really did. And that pace that he does have, and he's starting to beat his man quite consistently now. So he really is growing into that Spurs shirt now. But let's move on to the man of the day. And that is our captain, our leader. And that is Heung-min Son. 10s all round from us. He absolutely destroyed Trippier last night. And that was a pure vintage Sonny display. And I don't remember Son having a performance like that for a while in terms of being on the left-hand side, consistently beating his man. And it's not like he's beating any slouch. He's beating the best right back in the Premier League so far this season, right back of the Premier League last season as well. He's having an astonishing season, Trippier, but Sonny just took him to the cleaners yesterday. He really did. Those 2 assists that he did in the first half that kind of took down our nerves yesterday, because after the first goal you're like, all right, we need to get another goal. We got that all thanks to Heung-min Son, and we basically got the 2 goals all down to Heung-min Son yesterday and the way he just absolutely dismantled Trippier. But it wasn't just that. I mean, the way he led the team by example, geeing up his players all the time, link-up play was spot on. I mean, we've been saying in the lead up to this game pretty much all season, you know, he can't play on the left-hand side anymore. He doesn't have the energy, you know. And he played it to perfection yesterday and probably had his best performance of the season. He moved over to the striker position as well in the last stage of the game, which I thought he was brilliant at, and he won the penalty and slotted it away lovely. So, yeah, he could have had a goal maybe from open play where it just went just past the post, but all in all, it was an astonishing display from Heung-min Son.
Yeah, it was like a bit of a throwback performance from Heung-min Son, and how he used to play on the left and how he used to really take people on and really take them to the sword. And I thought Trippier just had absolutely no answer, couldn't live with Heung-min Son yesterday, and he embarrassed him a bit, to be honest, with his performance on the left-hand side. But it wasn't just those 2 moments. I just thought whenever he got the ball, he was electric, like looking to use that pace of his into the space, looking to attack Newcastle, creating chances. Well, I think he had 4 key passes on the day, which is only second to Decky. Obviously, didn't in the first half. I think he had 1 shot, which obviously Dubravka saved, but didn't have too many efforts on goal. But he was really a creator in chief. He was so good at setting up chances for his teammates, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant on that front. And then when he moved into the centre, I think he was just as much of a threat as well, getting beyond the Newcastle centre backs. They couldn't live with his pace when he was running in behind. He had that chance where he spun in behind Lascelles and just dragged his shot just wide, and then obviously played through on goal by Porro. Porro for the penalty, and obviously slotted it home perfectly, and that rounded off a top display from Son, and it was just a perfect game from him. And he's I think it was 10 Premier League goals for him now, into double figures. He actually matched his tally from last season now, so with a lot of games to go. So absolutely brilliant from Son.
And also, like, he was a doubt coming into this game. Like, the amount of pain he was in at the end of that West Ham game, I was for sure certain that we're going to see a period of Heung-min Son on the sidelines. He gets named in the starting lineup, and he has his best performance and probably most energy-sapping performance as well of the season on that left-hand side, just beating Trippier, destroying Trippier. It was a joy to behold, it really was. But let's move on to the last of the starting lineup in Richarlison, and big props to Richarlison for last night. 9s all round, back into the side after surgery, and he looks so much better for it, moving more freer, getting around the pitch as well, dropping deep, knitting some of the play together. Probably the best link-up play I've ever seen Richarlison do in a Spurs shirt, winning the ball back time and time again, getting in the good position to score that first goal with the cutback from Heung-min Son, and being on the end of a great ball from Pedro Porro. Yeah, it probably wasn't the best touch, but he recovered well to knock the ball in the back of the net past Dubravka.
Yeah, and I just think he's looked a lot sharper than he's ever looked, especially recently, especially this season. He looked a lot through in his movement. When he was taking people on, he just seemed a lot fresher, and he was pressing from the front and getting in people's faces, and just being a nuisance for Newcastle. And obviously he got those 2 goals, one with his to both with his left actually, but 2 real strikers finishes as well in the box, showing his he can really sniff out the goals when needs be. And that was really the real Richarlison. I felt like yesterday. We haven't seen that Richarlison at Spurs for a long time, or ever really. The one we bought from Everton, and maybe now that surgery and those injury problems hopefully behind him, maybe we're going to start to see the real Richarlison now, because I thought yesterday was just a breath of fresh air from him. It was really great to have a striker who gave us a bit more presence in the box and gave us that ability to swing it in sometimes and go long, and someone who's able to challenge centre-backs. And I thought he finished those 2 chances really well, and I thought his overall game was a lot stronger than it has been this season. So really good display from Richarlison. You
know, for a player that everyone says is no good and he's a £60 million flop, 3 goals, 3 assists this season so far, 6 goal contributions, outscoring the likes so far of Gabriel Jesus. Probably everyone, as Arsenal fans go on about him, you know, the best Brazilian striker since Ronaldo Nazario. And also Martinelli, he's outscoring him on the left-hand side, who had an astonishing performance last season for Arsenal. So I think Richarlison deserves some credit where it's due, to be honest. So big up to Big Rishi for last night. But let's go on to the substitutes, starting off with Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. 5s all round for us. I think he kept things simple in the middle, went forward okay, but the real talking point is him giving away the ball for the goal that we did concede. I thought it was just a bit needless at that point in the game, and he was probably the one at fault for giving away that clean sheet.
Yeah, it was sloppy, absolutely sloppy. Can't really give him an excuse. Everyone was playing so well, like everyone was like making sure their passes were on point, and then Højbjerg comes on and just gives away that sloppy goal with the sloppy pass, and just needless, absolutely needless. It's really frustrating, and that's the disappointing thing with Højbjerg sometimes. He can just that passing that he has, sometimes he can just when he has a lack of care with his passing, that can happen, and that did happen with the goal, and it ruined a bit of a blot on what was a fantastic day for us, and it should have been a clean sheet, to be honest.
Yeah, should have been. Moving on to Giovanni Lo Celso, he was a surprise inclusion on the bench yesterday, because, you know, with the performances that he's been putting in recent weeks, we thought he was a dead cert to start, but he was on the bench. He came on for the final 20-15 minutes. We gave him a 6 all round. I thought out of the substitutes he was probably the best one out of the 3, and look, he was putting himself about, nice little passes, could have even got on the score sheet as well after he came on. But I thought it was, like an okay sub appearance. But the game was dead. The game was already won after he came on.
Yeah, it was a bright cameo. He did some really good dribbling and ball carrying, but I felt like it was a bit aimless. Didn't really do it with any purpose, and sometimes he was guilty of hanging on to the ball too long and losing it. But I did think he tried to go forward, tried to make things happen, but as you say, it wasn't. I think he'll be a bit disappointed. Probably could have done a bit more with his cameo, but the game was already won by then.
Yeah, it's just a shame, isn't it? Because after the performances that he's put in, 2 goals since he's been in the team, but now after that performance, you've got to say he's back on the bench now.
That's reality.
Oliver Skipp, the last player that we're going to rate, 6 all round for Skippy. Look, again, I thought it was an okay cameo. The game was done. Should have got on the score sheet with pretty much a gilt-edged chance to really put the ball in the back of the net for a lovely delivery from Dejan Kulusevski. But apart from that, there was not much in it for Skippy.
Yeah, well, it wasn't it was a pretty quiet cameo apart from that one chance he had. Should have put it away. Didn't have too many other touches on the ball. Can't really say too much about him, but yeah, did all right when he came on.
And let's go on to big Ange Postecoglou. Sim gives him a 9. I gave him a 10. And I said he got it wrong in the last game against West Ham in terms of his starting lineup and potentially changes in the game as well. But I thought he got everything absolutely spot on down to a T yesterday. No one considered putting Sonny back out over to the left, and we did. And he was much better off for it. I thought it was a bit of a stroke of genius to put Sonny maybe as more of a creator in this game than anything else. Richarlison as the number 9. Both of them worked to an absolute treat. Pape Sarr coming back into the team as well to give the team a lot more energy, kind of enabled the other midfielders that we did have. And I felt like he must have just drilled into that team, look, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to be more clinical, we got to get the ball in the back of the net. And I think everything that we've been lacking in the Aston Villa game, the West Ham game, all these games that we've been dropping points in, I think he put right in this game. And not only did we go 1-0 up again, we got the second, we got the third, we got the fourth, a proper clinical performance. And you know what, that first half wasn't too dissimilar into the way that we were dominated games, but it's just the incisiveness and the clinical edge that we showed, and Ange Postecoglou must have drilled it into them because he was very upset after the last game. He mentioned after this game that maybe he's been a bit too harsh on them, but yesterday was just a vintage performance, and that was down to Ange Postecoglou, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. And when you're playing the way we are, it means you can stick by the team even when the performances, even the results are going against you like they've gone in the past 5 games. Because I think everyone can really see on the pitch what is happening at Spurs, this project that we're going with, what Ange is trying to do. And I think wins like this it was only a consequence of what Ange is trying to do and how we're trying to get us to play, and the football he's got us playing. And I thought, completely spot on in part. The team selection was absolutely spot on. Getting that energy back in the team as well, getting Richarlison back in, putting Son out wide as well, putting Kulu instead of Lo Celso was the right call in the end. Getting Johnson back on the right, getting those dynamics right on the pitch was absolutely spot on. And I think that he has just given us a sense of belief that even when, go 5 games out of win and we've got 4 losses in 5, no one's panicking, no one's saying everything's over, no one's saying, Ange is in trouble or under pressure, because you can see on the pitch with the performances that we're putting in that it just needs a bit of luck in our favour, and these results will start to return for us, and we are going to start to win games again. And then we sit back and watch games like yesterday, where it's just such a joy to watch, and it's a delight to watch, because we're playing beautiful football, we're creating loads of chances, scoring loads of goals, absolutely dominating the opposition. And we were just unlucky that some of the games beforehand didn't go that way when it easily could have, and we could have been sitting back and watching those games thinking what beautiful football and beautiful wins. We got a bit of luck when against us in the games against Villa and West Ham and stuff, but yesterday, wasn't luck that went for us. It was just the quality that we showed that won us the game, and hopefully more often than not that is what's going to happen under Ange.
And it can't be stated enough what an impact this man has had at this football club, because people are quick to forget. Nobody mentions Harry Kane anymore. Maybe over the past couple of days people are saying, if Harry Kane's here, we win these 5 games, or a big percentage of them. But what he's done at this football club in such a short space of time, you got to remember, we finished 8th last season in a depressed fan base, a depressed football club, losing your best player and top goal scorer of all time in Harry Kane. You don't understand how much that is understated by maybe people outside of this football club. It really is, and he's just come in, he's hit the ground running, and if I'm telling you now, if it wasn't for these crazy injuries that we got, forget the suspensions, just the injuries, Maddison, Van de Ven. If Maddison and Van de Ven never got injured, I think we'd be top of the league right now.
There's a good case for it with some of the games that we've dropped points in and when we shouldn't have. So I think he's doing an astounding job, and I don't care about the people. I saw people, there was other YouTubers and pundits starting to call him out after our winless run, and I think they just look at the results and base it completely on that, because if you're watching the games, you'll see what he's doing and how he's doing it right. And I think that just gives you so much more to cling on to and to hope for, even when things are going wrong. And I think that is the main thing with Ange, because last season things started to go wrong and there was nothing to cling on to. There's nothing that you could look at and say, okay, if we can turn this around or that, because it was just, everything was so dour. But this season is completely different. And I think Ange has really just brought that belief back to us. And the football is just a joy to watch.
Yeah, and that's what we've been saying at the end of every one of these losses. Don't panic. We're on the right path. Things will go better. Things will get right, and things will correct itself. And it seems as though that definitely happened last night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But that is our player ratings. Let me know your ratings in the comment section